the looming kind of cloud over Japan is all the time. That's kind of what it is, you know. Yo, what's going on? I'm back with another day, another episode, part two of this two-part episode. I might not have mentioned it before. Yesterday, again, we're at a different day, different level of podcastness. Didn't mention it before yesterday. In the background, I listened to a little bit of the background from the previous episode, and there was a lot of background noise going on. I had like the rice cooker going on. I had the air conditioner, which is also on today, which you'll probably hear a lot more if you're watching this on YouTube, because it is hot as fuck outside today, and I'm not turning off the air conditioner. Normally, I try to do it, turn it off, like, you know, until like recently, if I record. But this is one of those times of year. August is like real summer Japan type shit. So on YouTube, my apologies for the background noise. You just gotta deal with it, because number one, I'm not editing or doing enough audio editing to try to drown that out. And two, you know, it's just too fucking hot for me to be sweating my ass off like in front of this camera. Because if I turn it off in like 5 minutes, the room is just going to become a sauna. So, you know, I'm here in another afternoon. On the audio, this might be a little bit different as well, just because my audio settings are going to be a little bit different. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll thug it out, see what goes on. But you know, either way, it's gonna be interesting. So, all right, let's get into everything. So what I got for you guys? Let me just set my sheet up. Set my sheet up. Set my sheet up. All right. What I have? Where am I? Where am I? So like I said before, what I have for you guys, I'm going to just finish the Quora questions, and then I have a couple of videos for you guys, and I'm going to get up out of here. And I realized now what I'm going to do is just, probably if I can have time before I got to go out, upload this full episode to the audio, both parts, upload that. That won't take me that long, and then tonight I can do the video for you tonight, or another day do the video for YouTube. So, all right. So if you which is another reason why, if you're watching this on YouTube, you might want to go ahead and, you know, subscribe to both the podcast, which is in the description below, and also if you're listening to the audio, go ahead and check out the YouTube. My subscriptions are rising, you know, into double digits. So I'm kind of happy about that, to see new people discovering the podcast. I can't also remember. I'll put it again in the description wherever you're watching this. The ALT Insider episode interview that I did before. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, go ahead and check that out. You'll find it somewhere in the description below. Again, I did a really, I think, informative interview with James, and it's probably more applicable to the previous episode than this one. Especially, I forgot to mention, especially when I talk about the story from the previous part. That's kind of where that ties in with the link. So if you listen to, you know, if you haven't done it yet, if you're listening to this on audio, you'll know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, wait, what? No, if you're listening to this on audio, you've already heard part one. So fuck it, just go listen to the other episode anyway. All right, let's just get into it. Because I don't have forever. All right, so last time we did about half of these questions. I think I'm on question number 5. And question number 5 is Japan is a safe country? Again, I'm just looking at at the outline. I'm not looking at the answers given at all. You know, I encourage you to take your time and go ahead and read through those. But I just want to give you a fresh perspective, my perspective on it, my virgin, pure perspective. All right. So yeah, of course, if you listen to the podcast, you know, I believe Japan is a safe country, relatively speaking. But one thing that's actually been coming up on my radar is natural disasters. Just this book I'm reading on Japan and real estate in Japan and things like that. Well, I can show you the book. I have it right here. It's like my side table book. It's an interesting book I'm reading. It's called Landed Japan. If you can see it, you can probably see it. is for me. What I've found is this is the only book that I could find in English that goes in depth into real estate, buying property, and things like that in Japan. I'm not planning on buying property anytime soon, but it's just like kind of some fundamental knowledge about how real estate works in this country that I wanted to know about. Just just in case. It's been something that's been on my mind recently, and so I just I did some, got on my Google and I found it online, and I've been going through it, and just how housing operates here and stuff like that. It's interesting for me, especially if you're not living in Japan yet, or you're not long term in Japan. It'll probably be boring as fuck to you. Yeah, not interesting. But if you have been in Japan for a while, or you're thinking about staying here long term, tracking that book down would be something interesting. I would recommend you do. For me, like, I had to find it. I couldn't buy it in Japan. I had to go to Amazon America, and I can get it from there. But it was a mix up with me. It took me like about a month, like 2 months to get the book. So I'm finally happy I got it. And I'm reading, during the quarantine situation or lockdown situation, whatever the fuck you want to call it, self-isolation situation, whatever. When we were all in the house, right? But when the whole goddamn world was in the house, I thought of it, found the book, but it took me forever to get here. And now I'm just working my way through it in my spare time. It's a pretty good, interesting book. Again, because I'm living in Japan and just fills in a lot of gaps as far as how the real estate business works here. Not like real estate business, like I'm going to be a real estate tycoon or anything like that, but just fun how housing works here and how it's different from America. So speaking of that, one thing that book was reminding me of is safety here in Japan. Now, as far as like random ass crime goes, I think Japan is fucking safe as fuck. Of course there are some news stories, there are some killings, there are some shit that happens, stabbings and robberies and things like that, but that is, I'd say, nationwide, and there's also, I'd say, some, I hate to say, but some unreported crime, crimes against women, things like that, which I think is not cool. Because from my understanding, it is a lot more difficult to file charges against someone in Japan for those type of crimes as they are in the West, just for several different reasons. But I feel like women are starting to speak up quite a bit more. I hope women are starting to speak up quite a bit more on those type of situations that go down. But I'm not trying to pull the podcast down, but I'm getting somewhere. Don't worry, just rock with me. But so as far as like, let me just say human-related crime, if you will, where humans are the perpetrators of crime, I say Japan is extremely safe. But natural disasters is where I would say, Japan can be kind of dangerous. And I was talking about this before. There's a fucking, it freaked me out. It didn't freak me out a little bit. I'm not trying to watch this shit. It was a Netflix anime. Let me see if I can find it really quick. One second. One second. What is it called? This is what it's called. It's called, is this it? This might be it. Is this one on Netflix? Netflix. 2020. Yeah, that's what it's called. It's called Japan Sinks 2020. Yeah, Japan Sinks. Yeah, okay, that's what it's called. It's called Japan Sinks 2020. It's on Netflix here in Japan now. It's probably out wherever you are. I just watched, like, it premiered like recently. I just watched like some of the first episode one night. I think I had a few drinks or something like that, and I was just like watching it, and it just showed, of course, like a mega quake. If you've never been in an earthquake, it shows what like a mega quake in Tokyo would look like. After like 10 minutes of watching shit, I was like, I can't watch this shit. I'm not trying to watch this shit. This is too real for me. It's too fucking real. So I just had to cut that shit off. But if you want to know what the looming kind of cloud over Japan is all the time, that's kind of what it is. Any fucking moment, some shit like this could go down, and that is kind of the number one danger for me living in Japan. It used to freak me out. My first couple of years living in Japan, I'd kind of be like, okay, what if like a big earthquake happens right now? Because it's all you can think about. It's like, okay, the train just fucking is gonna derail and like crashing and shit. Like, oh my gosh, like what if? And just sitting there like, oh my gosh, I'm in this tunnel. What if a big earthquake happens right now? Oh shit, I'm in this highest building. What if a big earthquake? And you just go through your day like thinking about that shit because it's a very real possibility. Like the big one, is something that Japanese people are very, especially in the Tokyo area, because at some point in the future, a huge or massive earthquake is gonna be predicted because Tokyo lies in this huge ass fault line. It's predicted to happen. Now, I don't know when it's gonna happen. I'm at this point, I'm kind of like going through the Great Eastern Japan earthquake, which is 9 years going on 10 years ago. I was like, oh shit, this is the big one. It wasn't, thank goodness, the big one in Tokyo, where I was. But at the time, I thought like, oh shit, this is the big one. Watching buildings swaying back and forth, the way they were when I was on the fucking train, that was not fun. But I just kind of resigned myself to it. And the way I think, you've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again for you new listeners. The way my thought process of thinking about mega quakes, if you will, or the possibility of a mega quake is kind of like growing up in an inner city neighborhood, or growing up not in an inner city neighborhood. Let me say that because my neighborhood wasn't like super super dangerous. I wasn't like going outside ducking bullets or anything like that. But in like my city in Washington D.C., I grew up in a time that was not the safest time. And Washington D.C., I think what makes, like in hindsight, what makes Washington D.C., Washington D.C. a kind of a dangerous city in the past was that it was so small. It's so small. Washington D.C. is surprisingly small, a small city. It's like less than 10 square miles, basically, which is, like small as fuck. So, even if like, for example, my neighborhood is okay and not that bad, you walk 5 minutes down the street, it can get real, really quickly. Or you hop on a bus and take a 10-minute bus ride, shit like that. You go riding your bike and you can ride through somewhere. It's like, so, especially during that time, my teenage years and stuff like that, it was quite a little bit grittier. So, the possibility of gun violence, let me say, it was a kind of a looming kind of thing. And for me, the anxiety about that thing is something very similar that I feel when I think about earthquakes or mega quakes or being killed or seriously injured or someone I know, whatever, happening to them in like one of these type of situations. And I kind of just had to process it that way. Like, I think about it like if you don't come from, and I'm not trying to talk like, what I'm saying, I just keep it real because I'm from the streets and all this shit. Like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to play that game. But I'm just telling you, how I think about it. That if you are familiar with that process, or if you're not familiar with that thought process, you just guys, it is what it is. If it comes, it comes, and you can't really live your whole life in fear of that type of moment. You just have to kind of go through your everyday life, and if that type of situation presents itself, I'll deal with it the best way I know how. It's kind of how I used to just process it, and not panic. If, you can't live your life in a perpetual state of fear, you just won't work like that, So, but, those things do kind of happen. So if they do happen, life is real. And that's why when the big earthquake happened, I was proud of myself that, I didn't freak out, and I didn't go screaming and running around. I was kind of like like level-headed and went into survival mode and figured out what the fuck I need to do to get myself into a safe situation, a safe place, and me and my loved ones and things like that. In the earthquake and also after the earthquake situation happened. So that is kind of how I deal with it. If you're living in Japan or coming to Japan, that's how I would say would be a way that you can kind of process the fear, because you just can't be thinking about that shit. I remember clearly, like I used to really kind of mildly obsess about it, like my first maybe year and a half, because there are just a large amount of small earthquakes that happen like every week, every couple weeks. If you got a couple that pop off, over like a week or two, you're like, oh shit, you're not a seismologist, you don't know what the fuck, like is it like 3 small earthquakes in a week a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, is it releasing the pressure? Is it like getting ready to do some big shit? Like, I don't know. And so eventually I just had to just be like, look, I'm not a fucking seismologist, I don't know what the fuck is gonna go on, so man, let me just live my life, and if shit goes down, you better be ready, so that's kind of how I took it, and that's how I recommend you take it. Again, I don't know how you might want to just read a review. I'm looking at like a thumbnail from a review of it. You might want to read a review of it before you watch it if you're into anime or not into anime. I would just say I saw like the major earthquake scene, the direct aftermath of that, like 2 minutes after the big earthquake. I was like, oh shit, fuck, I'm not trying to go through that. That was my first thought. Like, I'm not trying to go through that. And that's exactly why I had to cut it off. I was like, okay, no. Let me not look at this at all. So, yeah, at least, hold on, let me see. Hold on. This is what I'll do for you guys. At least, hold on, sorry, let me mute this. At least what I'll do is even if you don't watch the show, I'll put in the trailer for it into the description. That's what I'll do. Hold on 1 second. Not Japan stinks. Japan sinks. Okay. All right. There we go. All right, I'll do that. Okay, so let me see. How deep are we? We must be getting deep in here. Yeah, see, we're 17 minutes. I wanted to keep it to like 30, maybe 40 minutes. So, all right, let me push forward with, I'm not even through these fucking questions, man. What the fuck am I doing? See, this is going to be long as fuck, man. I'm trying to edit this shit before I gotta go. All right, see what y'all do to me. All right, number 6. I have not screened these questions at all before. I have not looked at the list, so I don't know what the fuck is coming up next. I just see the word anime coming. If you go to Japan high school, if you go to a Japanese high school, you can date and become happy forever, like in the anime. Is that a real question? Like, that's like saying if you go to like an American high school, can you, fuck, I'm gonna date myself. Can you, I'm gonna age myself. I mean, can you date Zach Morris or Kelly Kapowski and fucking go to the fucking malt shop and do shit like that? Like, if you don't know, that's a Saved by the Bell reference, by the way. So, now if you don't know what the fuck Saved by the Bell is, it's a '90s teen fucking Saturday morning drama I used to watch when I was a kid. Everyone used to watch in the early, or I guess it was late 80s, early 90s. Just fucking Google Saved by the Bell or Zach Morris is Trash. If you are my age and you have watched the show, Zach Morris is Trash is fucking hilarious. Actually, okay, sorry, I'm getting messages and shit. All right, number 7. But yeah, there's no even point in me even dignifying that unless you're like a fucking okay, I'm not gonna trash Japanophiles. I'm not gonna trash you guys on here. I'm sorry, but just no, no. Okay, that's the answer. No. All right. 7. In Tokyo, there are vending machines which sell underpants of high school girls. Oh yeah, not oh yeah, yes, but oh yeah. This question, because this is something that comes up, and I thought the same way too. I was like, I read where the underwear vending machines, not like I wanted them, but just yeah, Japan is so crazy, And this is again like only the weirdest shit information. Not only, and we're kind of beyond that. Hopefully, we're not completely, but especially before, if you think about it, before the age of YouTube, before until about, I'd say, the mid to late 2000s, if you really think about it, the only information, I'll just focus on Japan, about Japan, was from like message boards, was from movies, was from TV, shit like that, just random shit you found online. YouTube really kind of collected and helped organize, and store information about Japan. But until that point, me too. Like Japan was just like this weird mystical ass place, like you heard about, you watched in fucking anime and in the random movie about Japan and shit like that. That was completely inaccurate. But but the thing, now I hope more and more people realize that this type of shit is not the norm here, which I don't think is true, because the most sensational type of shit, really mainly the most sensational type of shit about Japan, is what gets exported abroad and gets spread about abroad. And this is one of those things. Yeah, there might be one or two random vending machines somewhere in Tokyo that does sell this type of shit, but it's not the norm. And that's the thing, like the 80, probably like 70, 50, 60, 70, 80% of the information you have about Japan is fucking wrong if you have not lived here for an extended period of time. That's the fucking truth, okay? The majority of what you think you know about Japan is fucking wrong, and you're a fucking, no, I'm not gonna call you an idiot, okay? I'm getting a little bit too worked up by this shit, but if you come here thinking that that is the norm, you sound and look like a fucking idiot. Let me say that, okay? And that's just the truth. Like, so yeah, like I remember, my coworkers and we had these type of conversations, and we used to joke about it. And there was actually like under some train tracks near where I worked, a little small hidden corner when I came to Japan in 2004 that sold porno, Japanese porno. Just that stopped selling porno just before I got there, because one of my coworkers, we walked past there one day, he was like, oh, let's look at the porno corner. And it was like literally, if you walk past it, you couldn't see it. It's like a little hidden fucking, I don't know, little like cut little thing in it's weird to describe, like under some train tracks. And like you had to actually go in there, and he and my coworker, we were walking to a different train station one day. It was like a shady looking like, it was weird, this shady little path underneath the overpass where the leading to the train station that people normally don't go to. And he said, oh yeah, the vending machines are right there, and he wanted to show me. And so we went in this little fucking corner, and he was like, oh, it's gone. And then like the vending machine was just completely empty. So I guess like in areas maybe like Kabukicho, or areas where like Fuzoku, or kind of red light district type of areas, you probably might have had those type of vending machines, or have had those type of vending machines, maybe like sex toy vending machines or something like that. Like, but it's not like next to the fucking convenience store, where you got like soft drinks, you fucking hot ramen in high school girl panties. Like, that's just not reality. So a lot of the shit that you see in movies and stuff like that is just not the truth. It's just not the truth, okay? So just if you come, in the future, at some point in time, if you come to this country, just accept the fact that, okay, I think Japan is like this. I'm probably 50 to 90% wrong about, what I think Japanese people are like, Japanese society is like. If you do that, just come here with a fucking blank slate. Just come here with a fucking blank slate. Like, yeah, you can read a book or something like that with some background information, of course, but your notion of what goes on in Japan is fucking wrong. Even if you think about it, I'm sure if you live in like any major city and you read a tourist guidebook about your city, it's gonna be fucking wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not gonna be wrong, but it's not gonna be an accurate depiction about what really goes on in your city. If you think about it, right? Like, take New York, take LA, take wherever the fuck, Texas, take Miami. You know, if you buy a fuck or go to a tourist website or whatever and read about this fucking place, and imagine I know nothing else about it except for what I'm reading right now, you'll be like, what the fuck? Like, I'll never go here. Like, people don't do that. Like, people don't normally act like that. And that's the same thing that's going on about Japan, right? Yeah, it might be true. It might be fun for tourists, you know, in touristy areas type shit. And there might be, you know, one part of history or culture, whatever, like that. But that's not what everyday life is like. And that's not what everyday people do, you know, like, it's just true. Like, you know, I don't go to the White House. Like, you know, I didn't go to the White House when I was a kid. Like, my bus stop was like in front of the White House when I was in junior high school for a while, but I never went inside the motherfucker. Like, you know, like, half of the shit people used to go to, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, like, you know, think about it in those type of terms. Okay. All right. Okay, whew, that's a little bit, okay, sorry. And Japan has one of the highest suicide rates in the world. I can't really speak on this too much, you know, there is a lot made out of it. I'll say I don't know any Japanese person directly affected by suicide. I've never had that conversation. It is just a heavy topic. I can't make light of it. You know, of course, the statistics are there. It's understandable for me. You know, I can understand like why those statistics exist. I can understand where they come from, but I haven't seen anyone really touched directly by suicide. So beyond like what you know via statistics, I can't really add anything to that. You know, I think maybe more Japanese people might be better suited to answer that question in depth. And just because it's such a heavy topic, I'm not really going to touch it like that, you know. And so I'm just going to leave that part like that. All right, hold on, let me check this. Okay, I'm always paranoid about this camera. Okay, whoosh, 27 minutes. All right, cool. So we finished with the Quora stuff. Now, what I have for you, I have some more homework for you, got some more media for you, right? Wait, let me look at the clock. Okay, shit. Okay, shit. All right. Okay. All right. So, what I have is in the description, you'll see a couple of videos. One is on Japanese stereotypes. Again, Asian boss videos. I think some really interesting street interviews for Japanese people talking to Japanese people, which is, I think, is pretty interesting, right? And I'm not gonna go too much in depth on it. Just give a few points and let you kind of go through it yourself if you are so inclined, right? So the first one on Japanese stereotypes about Japan. I want you to really listen for how they talk about Halloween. You've heard me go in depth about Halloween and what likes, dislikes, and what's going on. By the way, Halloween this year is going to be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens during Halloween this year because, you know, this year might be the year that they just choose to put the kibosh on Halloween. Just totally, you know, just because of the COVID situation, it's a really good excuse to really just squash all Halloween activities. Or young people just might say fuck it and they become the complete scapegoats of it. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna play itself out, but I'm interested. You know, Halloween's only like about 2.5 months away, so I'm really interested in seeing like how that situation plays out. Going to be interesting. So listen to how Halloween people talk about how Japanese people talk about Halloween. They talk about tentacle porn, and this is one of the things that I was ranting about before, about what you think you know, you don't fucking know, and how they react to the person explaining about tentacle porn, what tentacle porn is, and stuff like that. And you know, I mean, some of the dudes are just like, tentacle porn, yeah, but I mean, it's not like a popular kind of thing, you know. And I'm just not only using tentacle porn. If you don't know what tentacle porn is, I'm not gonna be the one to explain it to you. All right. But I would just say like that is representative of, how some of these kind of niche things just become, a lot bigger abroad than they are here in Japan. Politeness here in Japan. Yeah, they the second video I have goes in more in depth into politeness, but I want you to really listen to how they talk about kind of leigi tadashi, how Japanese people are really leigi tadashi, or outwardly polite versus foreign people. It's a really interesting dynamic that goes on here. I probably talked about it before in the past. I can't really remember, but listen to that. A few people really compare how people abroad act towards each other versus how people in Japan act towards each other. I think that's a really interesting dynamic. The second video is what Japanese people think is rude. That one, I think, well, if you before I go into that one, I would recommend, a good way of doing it would be stopping the podcast or the video right now, go in, check in those, just so that my thoughts are kind of fresh in your mind. It's like, I think, a 10-minute video. Then come back and listen to the second, my pointers for the second one. All right, so I'll stop for a second. Freeze. Okay. All right, so the second one is about rudeness in Japan, the idea of what is rude, what is polite in Japan, and again, just listening to what good and bad manners are in Japan, and how also the thought process of how people think about something being rude. Again, I recommend looking at the other people when someone's doing something rude. It might be also tips, if you're coming to Japan or new to Japan, some behaviors that Japanese people think are rude, and if you see another Japanese person doing that thing, looking at the other Japanese people in that situation to kind of pick up on some of the tells to tell how people are really bothered, is really, really interesting. And also for yourself to understand, like, not to fucking do that thing ever. All right, and finally, in this, there's a small section of this where I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but you've heard me in previous episodes talk about the dynamic between Japan and China, Japan and Korea. If you listen to how there's one section where, again, I'm not China bashing, not taking Japan bashing, not taking sides on anything, okay? But if you just listen to how some people talk about, China in one small section of this, you'll kind of get a feeling for what I say. Like, there's kind of it's a weird kind of undercurrent thing. It's not like, and even the people saying it, you can tell they're kind of not like, fuck that shit. They're not like angry but they just kind of like, it's a weird, that's kind of what I'm talking about. The dynamic, that kind of to me represents the dynamic of how things go here in Japan. It's a really weird thing. There's no like outward, I don't know. I'm just not gonna fucking go into it. But you just listen to in the interview and just watch out for that, and listen to how they deal with that kind of section and make your own judgments on that. So, all right, let me wrap things up there. Epic 2-part episode. If you're listening to audio, it's going to be just 1 full hour of goodness, gracious shit, or 2 good, great YouTube videos. So, all right, thank you guys for watching, listening, and the whole shebang and bang, and I will holler at you next time. Peace.